Hey, what's up, good people? We want to welcome you back to the family room. I'm Bishop John F. Ramsey Sr.
And I'm Dr. Alicia Ramsey. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret. Stay until the end of this podcast because we have an update for you about our first special date night in January. Because remember, we told you last year that during this year, every month we would take turns on planning a special date night. So we already had one in January, but we'll talk about that at the end.
And it was a day date because of the kids. So it worked out perfect.
It wasn't necessarily because of the kids. I'll tell you why. It was during the day.
All right.
All right. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, one of the things we talked about a little bit between sets was just men and women are so different.
Yes.
And they're created to be that way, and that's okay. But I think in order to have a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship, even you have to understand how they think. You have to understand how a man thinks, and you have to understand, men have to understand how a woman thinks. And one of the greatest ways they do that is by asking them. You know, sometimes we can, especially in marriage, we can assume something. I can assume I'm meeting a need of yours, and guess what? It's making me excited, but it's not meeting your need. And that's why sometimes I'll just come to you and say, hey, what do you need in X, Y, or Z? And then I understand that, and I can move in that direction. And I think sometimes in relationships, we can be so desperate to want to be understood that we don't understand that you got to take the time to understand them.
Okay. And it took us time to get to that, and we keep working on that. But listen, it doesn't matter if you're not married. Any person that you have in your life that is a male. So it could be a brother, it could be an uncle, it could be a son, a grandson. It may be that your boss is a man. This conversation today is to help you better understand working with, having a relationship with a man. I have 3 brothers. I've been doing this, 2 sons and a husband. So there are a lot of men in my life. They dominate in this, myself and Judah. So there are a lot of things that I learned.
Dominate.
Who dominate?
You just said we dominate.
Well, you do. I'm outnumbered.
Yeah.
Per se. In my life, I'm outnumbered. So I had to learn how to deal with men because of growing up not having sisters. You know, I had to learn it. I didn't have to, but I wanted to learn it so that I would have successful relationships. And I see so many people in this period that they feel it's not necessary. You know, what's that one book? Men are from Venus and women
Men
are
are
from
from
Mars.
Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah, something like that. Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. There's been books over the years that talk about we're different. God even created us different.
Yeah, and he did it for a purpose. And because when we understand the differences between the two and we bring that together in a marriage, that marriage can be happy and successful.
Right. We were created to multitask. Don't get mad because he doesn't multitask the way you do. Your son can't multitask the way his sister does. Your brother can't multitask the way you do. There's a reason why we were created that way.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I believe that. And I think that there's a lot of conversations that need to be had. And I think, you know, we're looking at this from a broad standpoint, but if you want to narrow it down to marriage, I think that even in marriage, there's a lot of conversations that need to be had to understand what each other need. As a result, instead of assuming something.
And when you have the conversation, it's not saying you're doing anything wrong. And I feel like you can definitely get offended if you feel like the person is coming to you, well, this is what you're not doing, especially the way you have the conversation is important too. Don't you feel like that's important?
I think the way you have it has everything to do with whether it's going to be successful or not. You know, I think number one, timing is everything. You have to do it at the right time. You can't be coming in from work, she's stressed out, you're stressed out, and you're trying to have a conversation like that. The kids need to be down to sleep or something, and it needs to be the one-on-one time that's not going to get interrupted so that you can have it. And even in having it, especially if there's a need that you have as a man or a woman that's not being met, you still got to present that in a loving way.
Yes.
That the person doesn't take offense.
In a loving way.
Yeah.
I always say sugarcoat your words. I know that's not biblical, but that's just what I say. Okay, sugarcoat your words. And in my mind, I say it in my head. Okay, when I have this conversation, sugarcoat your words when you talk to. So I talk to him and not at him. Because man, with the tone, it's tone. Ladies, it's your tone. One thing about it, if my tone isn't right, boy, he'll shut down on me quick.
It's over. I'm not hearing anything.
We go nowhere productively because of my tone. I haven't said anything yet.
And you know, and I don't feel, I mean, that's the phrase that you use, and that's fine because I think that works for some people. But I don't look at it as sugarcoating. I just look at it as just a respectful approach. I just look at it the fact that
sometimes you have to
when they
sugarcoat.
come at that, you know, I mean, maybe you have to, that's fine.
Because
That might
listen,
be another whole episode right there.
Because if I say, can you please take out the garbage? As opposed to if I say, babe, will you get a chance? Can you please take out the garbage? That's when I say sugarcoat.
See, I don't, you know, that one don't apply to us though, because
It does apply
I'm
to
on
us.
it. I do it three
But
times a
I'm
day.
not talking about the garbage.
Okay, that's what I'm
That
saying.
was the example I gave. But what I'm saying is when it comes to sugarcoating your words.
Are we gonna get in an argument? Or we gonna
Yes, we are. We are going to argue right here in this podcast because I'm trying to teach young women and young ladies it's your tone and it's the way that you say things in order to get things done. You can look up it, you know, the psychology of it. The way you say things to people matters.
My turn yet?
See, I can deal with it. He just be trying to be smart. It don't bother me at all. But
Oh,
so
Jesus.
that's what I mean when I say sugarcoat your words.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Are you praying for him? Are you praying for him?
But to me, you gotta have fun with it too.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. But it wasn't a negative. When I say sugarcoat your words, I'm not saying anything negative.
And I'm not saying it's negative
in
either.
regards to the tone. In regards to the tone.
But you know as well as I do that there have been many cases, and I know that I have in my counseling over the last 35, 40 years, that there have been many cases that what I had to deal with the couple on is respectfully approaching each other because they weren't doing it. They weren't even close.
They don't. They cuss each other
So
out.
what I'm saying is that,
you're
that
absolutely right.
I've had to deal with that. Everybody got a different experience, but I've had to deal with that 100 times over.
But that's why I'm saying what I'm saying is because I tell women it's the way you say things. Because in our mind, well, he should do it. Why should I have to say that? And it's the way they say it to them. And I said, it's the tone of what you're saying to your husband. You're talking at him instead of to him. And you used to tell me this all the time because I was very guilty of this. Well, he should know. And you would tell me, I can't read your mind.
Right.
If you need me to do something, and this is something that if you wanted your husband to do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, but you only told him X. You only instructed him on X. You only asked for X. But in your mind, you expected X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. So then when you come home and Y, Z, 1, 2, 3 isn't done, you go off. But men function differently.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to function differently. It's just
Yes.
about understanding how they function and then being able to relate to that and vice versa.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that when it comes to, I think the biggest thing for me is the tone of how a person approaches me. And it can be on anything, how a person approaches me. Because if you come at me a certain way, then I'm not always going to respond the best, or I'm not going to respond at all.
Right.
And I'll just shut down and say, you know what, I'm good.
Right.
And
When you not.
And that's not productive. I've been guilty of that a lot of times.
When he not. But
I've been guilty.
I know based off of his body language. And but I know his concept, and I know why he does this. I don't want to say the wrong thing to my wife. I don't want to disrespect my wife. So I'm not going to say anything. So his whole countenance changes and his body language changes. So then I have to go back and be like, what did I say? What did I do? And then there are times I don't know and I have to ask him. But then there are times when I know good and well. Ladies, you know good and well what you said to your son that made him shut down. You know what you said to your brother. You know what you said to your spouse that made them shut down. And there is power in the apology
It really is.
and accountability.
Why you stare at the camera like that when you say that?
I'm talking to them. I'm not talking to you or about me.
No, I'm just saying why you do that.
Because there's so many women that don't want to be held accountable, just like men.
That's true.
I'm just addressing women right now from a female perspective here that we feel like we're justified in going off on people.
Yeah, because it's your spouse, they supposed to take it.
Yeah, no,
Now,
that's
come on,
not
now, where's
true.
that?
Yeah,
Where's that in
that's
scripture
not
or anywhere else? To me, if the respect is not there, nothing's positive going to be accomplished. And I know with her years ago, I remember telling her, I think pretty early on in our marriage, was that, listen, you know, I might be a pastor and have this sermon and different things like that. I said, but I don't necessarily have that at home. I said, so when I come home, if there's something that you want me to do or I need to be doing that I'm not doing, don't wait on me to get a revelation. Tell me straight up. You just tell me straight up, and I can take that and boom, I can run with it.
Right.
But don't be sitting there mad because I'm not meeting a need I don't know exists.
Right. And that is so common with women. I heard a message from Joyce Myers many, many years ago, which helped me in that area too, because she got mad at her husband Dave watching the game on a Saturday. And so she was in the kitchen cleaning up and doing all this stuff on a Saturday. And she was mad, like, he's sitting there watching the game and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And she said, God told her, you could be sitting down watching the game too. You're choosing to clean the kitchen right now.
Right.
And from that perspective, that's when I also started learning, I have to tell you what I need. And that's when we came up with, okay, can you bathe Jeremiah every night?
Yeah.
So that if I know you're bathing Jeremiah, you're giving him his night meds, that's something off my plate I don't have to worry about.
Right.
But it took me to hear you, because you did tell me first. Then I heard it through the word of God. Then in my time in prayer with God, he showed me that it's not something your husband isn't doing. It's what you're not doing.
Right. Right. And I think another thing is that too, that when you approach them about one thing, don't act like they don't do nothing. But just say, approach it however you need to approach it. But it's just like, sometimes if it's not presented right too, and it's not that everybody's oversensitive, but sometimes if it's not presented right too, it can be taken as, well, I guess I don't do nothing then.
But don't you think sometimes men hear it that way, even though it's not said that way?
I do.
So if your wife or your spouse or your girlfriend or your significant other approaches you about something that you failed to do with the children of the child, you saying I ain't a good dad, you saying I don't take care of my kids, you saying I don't pay. That is not what she was saying, bro.
Why you gotta say it like that?
What she was saying to you is in regards to this situation. So a lot of times men can hear something totally different than what she said.
Yeah. I've done that before.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. And I got really irritated because I'm thinking, wait a minute.
And that is
I'm busting my tail up in this baby. But that's what I'm thinking.
And that's what you're thinking, but that's not what I said.
But that's what I'm thinking.
I know, but I got to get them to see that's real talk, because a lot of times they feel like we don't deal with things like this because we've been together 30 years.
Yeah.
We still are working on that.
Because you're always changing. You're always evolving. You're always changing. Bible said we're being changed from glory to glory. So change is going to take place in your development as a human being. And as a result of that, you have to adjust and you have to relearn certain things about that person.
And early on, we both were guilty of, he would tell me, I'm not one of your students. Because I would talk to him like I was talking to a student. And then I was looking like,
how did I say it?
don't be talking to me like I'm one of your students. You talking to me? Who you talking to? That was his favorite catchphrase. Who are you talking to? Boy. And it was like from the chest. It was like from the chest, who are you talking to? And for me, sometimes I'll be looking like, why are you preaching to me? You know, why are you preaching to me? But I know that is his role. And so sometimes we have to put that to the side. Okay, I got to put my educator hat to the side. He has to put his, pastoral hat to the side. And we just have to have this conversation. A lot of times, one of my siblings, I'm like, he's forever texting like we are his, employees. Like when he would talk to us all the time, talking to his mama, his sister, and his two brothers, he would talk to us like we worked for him. And I had to really pray and ask God to keep helping me to be patient with him, because he didn't know how to shift back into little brother. You better go back into your role. Because in this situation, you are not our boss.
Right.
So in your relationships, you may be a stay-at-home mom and your spouse is the breadwinner. You still have a voice. You still have a job. Taking care of children, that's a job. It's a full-time job. And the spouse needs to understand, because we used to see this a lot. We used to see this a lot with NFL men, NBA guys. They felt because they made all this money and they did all this work and she was home with the kids all day, that when they came home, they didn't have to do nothing with the kids. If they had a nanny or if they had a sitter or if the parent lived there with it, that they didn't have to do anything with the kids. That was always a big conversation when it came to counseling?
Well,
with
how do
them?
couples get past all this then? I mean, what are the things that they need to be asking each other or pulling from one another to really learn that person, in terms of what their need is?
I think the number one thing is having, constructive conversations.
Yeah.
Stop making everything so surface. And like you say all the time, don't let it build up. Something could have happened a month ago or a year ago, and you just keep letting it build up like Legos. And then when it crashes, then you go off and you start spazzing out, and he's looking at you or she's looking at you like, where's all this coming from? Well, you didn't have the critical conversation with the partner listening actively, being an active listener, not listening to respond, but listening to truly hear what it is that is affecting the individual.
Yeah.
We learned that over years.
I think we did too. And I think that a lot of times it's about, especially when it comes to men too, I think it's about asking them, hey, what do you need? Or what is it that I can do different or do in general that's going to be beneficial for you, and vice versa. We talked about that, especially before we shot today.
Yes.
Asking that person, asking that man specifically. We talk about it with the women, and we do that a little bit more frequently. But ask him.
Ask him.
Asking him.
Ask him what he needs, because he does need something. Even if he says he doesn't need something, he does need something. And keep asking until he has the conversation with you. And it is important because you're selfless in relationships where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's a good point, because the one of the primary killers, in my opinion, to marriages or relationship is selfishness. Relationships die, divorces happen because of selfishness.
People are
Somebody stops saying, well, I've been doing this all this time, I ain't doing it. I've been doing all this, I'm not doing.
Right.
And then you got a stalemate.
They say that all the time. I ain't doing it no more. But you're still married.
Exactly.
That's your spouse.
Exactly.
Till death do us part.
Yeah, so I think it's really, one of the things that can help a marriage, and we promote this all the time, is get pre-marriage counseling.
Amen.
Because a lot of times in pre-marriage counseling, I've told people before when they came to me after they had gotten married without having any counsel, I've told them before, everything you're dealing with right now is what we deal with in pre-marriage counseling.
Absolutely.
And when we get to the end of that, I always let them know that I have the right to not do the wedding.
Yes.
If I think that there's some red lights that we need to work on,
Right.
and give it a little bit more time before we get to that point, because you want to be confident when you get to that altar, and so it's important to be able to get the counsel. If you're married, but yet maybe you miss some of these tools, you need to get some counsel on this. You need to get some godly counsel from your pastor, whoever it is, your spiritual leadership at church. You need to get some counsel in that particular area. And because you are educated, got a couple of diplomas in your life, stop acting like you know everything about areas that you are clueless on.
That part.
Make sure that you go about getting the wisdom.
That's good. That's good. So we talked about critical conversation, active listening, and seek accountability or mentorship or professional. Now, our dates. So for every month, we are going to have a special, unique date night. And so I had January, he has February, woohoo, Black History Month, my birthday month. And then I have March, and then we're going to each go on. I have your birthday month. So January was my month, right? What did I plan for our date night? So first of all, tell me how you felt about our date night.
When you first told me, I just said to myself,
Because what did I tell you?
You told me that, you had something set up that we were going to do, and then later on you kind of told me what it was. And,
Which you could tell them.
it was a cooking class. We were going to go to a class where you do a session, and they have this basically menu laid out, and that chef is there and teaches each one of these couples how to do everything. So that's what you told me we were going to do. We did it.
Yes, I put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
I sent it to him and told him, hey, this is on the calendar. The reason I did it in the afternoon is because we wouldn't have to worry about a sitter. It was a good time. And those classes fill up quick. I didn't even realize how quick they fill up.
Yeah.
And I knew he liked Mexican food. I'm not saying he's experimental with Mexican food, but he likes, Mexican food. He likes Latino food. So that was our menu. So it was that Surla table right here in Carmel up there at Clay Terrace. And we made corn tortillas, tamales with vegetable tamales, a souffle, a flourless souffle cake, And then this drink that was just like lemons, lime.
No, they made that.
They made it, and it was non-alcoholic.
I need the recipe.
But that was amazing. I have to look at that. So tell me how you felt. And I felt like it was all these young. It was like 1, 2, 3, and us, just 4 couples. That was a good thing too about it being in the afternoon. There was only 4 couples.
Exactly.
In there.
Exactly. It was like 4 couples, but it was really good. I mean, we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when we came in. I didn't look at it as, oh Lord, we're ready to go do this. I didn't look at it like that. I said, because I know we're gonna do some different things this year, and so I just walked on up in there with really no expectations. It just kind of went through the whole process. But
You said what we cooked.
I enjoyed.
What we making?
Oh yeah, I want to know what we're making now. If we're gonna eat some food, I want to know what we're making. But we had a good time. You know, we introduced ourselves to the couple across the table and all of that type of thing. But it was nice. It was totally different, but it was nice.
It definitely was not. And usually, you don't like when people have strong accents, when you have a hard time understanding what they're saying. But you did a great job.
Yeah, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that if I can't really catch what they're saying, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure. But, you know, with her, she had a strong accent. And what I didn't understand, I just asked you.
It would kind of be like frustrate, like sometimes, because when they have a very strong accent. So I love the fact that you allowed us to do something different. You enjoyed it. We met new people. He even ate the product, because usually he wouldn't even taste a tamale or taste a tortilla. And it was beef, and you just did good. And a flourless cake. It was really rich too.
It was rich.
That cake. So I'm proud of him for it. And then I'm already thinking about what we're going to do in March. And we're trying to keep the spice alive, y'all. You got to do the same thing.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun to do creative things and continue to build your relationship, build your marriage, and have fun with it. Don't forget, before you got married, you had fun with that individual. So after marriage, don't stop doing that.
Right.
Create platforms and opportunities where you can still do that.
For sure. It has been an amazing conversation today. We're so glad you joined us for another episode of The Family Room.